Oh, so Chelsea draw Manchester City. What time is it over there in Portsmouth, Mister Awa?
It's 9 p.m.
9 p.m. Oh wow,
Just gone past 9 p.m.
that's 9 p.m. What a
Yeah,
game! What a game! I
indeed,
mean,
indeed.
the predictions spot on.
Yes, it was always going to be 2-1 or 1-1 or a draw game of any score. But yeah, 2-1 was the most likely score that I foresaw for this game.
I mean, the
Yeah.
indomitable Lions of Cameroon, they played a much more better second half than the first half.
Yes, yes. And again, not being clinical, we should have been 3-0 up or even 4-0 up. As predicted, Wemo was going to be very dangerous on counterattacks. We're not making good use of this guy. We're not making good use of Brian Wimmer. Our passing is still not, not at the level of international football. And you can excuse our players this because they've not been together for too long, you know. So with time, this team is gonna cause Africa a lot of headache. That is for certain. That
Yeah.
that is for
Let's
certain. Pardon me.
Yeah, let's actually start from the beginning. Let's actually analyze the whole game. We got 30 minutes, and let's start with South Africa. They actually started the game very well, and as you mentioned, it's almost the same way Cameroon started the game with Ivory Coast. You know, these teams, they are creating opportunities against Cameroon, but they are not actually finishing, especially South Africa. They had two good opportunities in the first half, first 20 minutes. Everybody thought that Cameroon had it wrong, but they could not score. I mean, how did that go to affect the game?
I think I think when you are in a tournament like this, and especially like we said in the pre-match analysis, that Hugo Bros changes his lineup every game, so he takes every game according to their merit and adjusts his tactics and team selection. So what that does is it makes it difficult for the opponents to predict how he's going to play. So it gives the opponent the first few minutes of a game gives the opponent time to study what is happening tactically, what the other team are doing tactically, and in this case, South Africa. And Cameroon struggled in that period that Cameroon was getting to understand how South Africa wanted to play. And it was direct play. They were targeting Lyle Foster. They were trying to get the ball to Lyle Foster. South Africa was basically not playing through the wings. They were going directly to Lyle Foster, So, and that created a lot of problems because of our centre backs, the way they lined up. We haven't got like a stopper in front of the or a second centre back in front of the last centre back. So that made it a little bit difficult for the team because once Lyle Foster comes out, the centre back comes with him. It creates that gap at the back, which is what they used for the second opportunity, which Kibani ran onto one on one. But once Cameroon became accustomed to their style and their tactics, which took them longer than they would have liked, then Cameroon started controlling the game more. And from then on, I think South Africa lost control of the game right onto towards the end when you would normally expect the losing team to react as the winning team starts retreating to keep the score margin, which is the normal way a football game would flow, especially when you're looking at two teams that are evenly balanced.
I've said this before, right? And a lot of, I mean, before the game, after our group stages, I said, in my opinion, I preferred a guy like Nagida to actually play because of his offensive play. And we saw his immediate impact after the second half, when he has that cross I mean, it was all like class. Technique was right. He put the ball where actually Kofane, I mean, and that's Kofane because he
He, he,
attacked the ball, right?
he,
Yeah, go
he
ahead, go
is a
ahead.
he is a very technical player, Nagida. You know, but the thing is, and this is what I always emphasize, is that especially when you're playing 3-5-2. 3-5-2 demands a lot of physicality and a lot of running from the halfbacks or the half fullbacks, whatever you want to call them. So all that running up and down, you know. So that's the first thing you need. So I think whilst Nagida is technical, I think Darling Yongwa is a better athlete than him. And he can actually cover those distances easily. And you remember during the halftime, we talked about the fact that Nagida has this tendency of holding onto the ball. There was an incident, I think in 50 something or 60 something minute. He was trying to check a player on the halfway line out there. Do you remember that incident? And those are the kinds of things that can make a manager go mad, because you do that with top teams and they take that off you. You are in big trouble because your side of the pitch is absolutely free, a freeway, you know. So those are the little things with Nagida that he needs to adjust, and then he could become a really great player. Because, like you say, going forward, he is great, but you have to look at the complete package, especially with a team like Cameroon that likes to sit back and observe and counter attack, you know. But I think that is something that they need to build on in terms of using Kofane's area prowess and his movement, you know. So yes, and like you say, he's got great crosses. There's no doubt about it.
Oh yeah, because that goal was just made off of, and we needed that just before halftime in order to throw more doubt into the South Africans. Because I talk
Just after halftime.
exactly just after halftime, because I
Yeah.
talk about that psychological. You need to beat that teams out, and that's where Cameroonian, that's what Cameroonians call it, Hemley. To be able to play, to come out from a difficult position, turn things around, and put your opponent under pressure. And I think that the way we actually played three at the back, we played narrow with the central defenders. That actually helped every one of them, because there was an incident when Wu actually came in and he was muscled by Foster. Foster he's a tough player. He was
He
muscled
is.
out by Foster. That's when Foster actually got that yellow card. Then
Hmm.
we saw Tolo try to recuperate and help, but he wasn't able to. Then Che Malone came in and just took care of business, and then he was fouled. I mean, what do you make? I think it's brilliant, right? It's a brilliant idea for Pago, to go with a three-man defensive line, because I think that has actually helped the team. We keep forgetting that this team was just put together a month, maybe
I
three
don't
weeks,
think
10 days.
I don't think any Cameroonian can forget that fact. That this is a new team, and again, you have to make use of the resources that you have. Cameroon has a lot of centre backs in their selection, so it's only normal that you play with three centre backs if you've got the skills. You can see, for example, Man United has struggled with that system, and they keep telling you, the pundits keep telling you, that is because they do not have the players with the skill set to play that formation. On the other hand, this is Cameroon that has the players with the skill set to play that formation, and it's working out well for Cameroon. And this is a system that Cameroon used in the 2000s. And again, I go back to what I've always told you when we're not on air, or when we're just discussing in the background, is that this team, these Cameroonian youth, give them 2 years and they're going to run riot in Africa. It's coming, and I hope even if they get eliminated at some stage, I trust A2 that A2 is not going to take fans' anger and discussions, political discussions, and include that in, and factor that into his decision making. He needs to stick with his managers. He needs to stick with using local managers and making sure that they have a platform on building players to play within a system. And the most success of Cameroon post 2000 has been with this system 3-5-2. We need to go to it. We need to stick to it and bring up our players to play in the system. And obviously, you have to adapt depending on the game, but primarily understanding that this is our game. If you think about it, True Lion, since Stephen Tato, Cameroon hasn't really had a right back that you say this is a right back. Do you
But
understand what I mean? We've always adapted, take midfielders and play them in that position, which is why Pierre Lechamp went to a 3-5-2. For some reason, Cameroon doesn't have right backs. We don't.
Yeah, of course, that's true. And when I look at Phi, in a game
Mm.
like this where we play with wing backs and all that, I think Phi would have been very, very perfect in this situation because keep in mind, last African Cup of Nations that he did play, he was the highest. He had one a high level of assists. I think he had three or four, something
The
like
guy
that.
had the guy had stamina. You got to give him that.
Yes, of course,
So he
of
would
course.
have been good for this system, definitely,
Exactly. Okay, looking at a
definitely.
guy like what's his name? Avom in the
Mm.
midfield. Oh my
Mm.
goodness. I think he was actually really, really good in the second half.
He reminds me of Jean Macun and Landry Nguemo to some extent. I was watching him; those small legs. The guy covers. He covers. He covers a lot of distance. And he does a lot of the dirty work. When you look at the formation, they tell you Baliba is the one sitting, but when you actually look at them play, a lot of the dirty work is done by Avon. He is the unspoken hero of this team. He
Yep.
does a lot of dirty work for this team. And today he was immense. He was immense. What a player. What a player. I was listening in the commentaries and they were talking about there are Premier League clubs that are interested in Avon and that are scouting him. And that's the hunger that I say is in this team. A lot of these players haven't reached the levels that they want to get to. And this is why they're playing like the way they're playing, because they still want to progress in their careers.
Now let's talk a little bit about this kid, right? Because there's no way we can be talking and we don't talk about Kofani.
Mm.
Kofani. I mean, you as an analyst, because you're very versed in football and all that, try to describe this player's ability, not only running off the shoulders, because there was an opportunity where he struck. I'm sure you were already counting that a pass from Buemo, because remember I was saying that I want to see Buemo actually play together with
Mm.
this guy and say there was a
Mm.
pass from Buemo and he peeled off the defender, still
Mm.
stayed on side,
Mm.
but his finish was just a little bit because that was a difficult strike because the defender was coming right. I mean,
Mm.
tell us a little bit about this kid, Kofane.
And that's youthfulness, isn't it? I don't know if it was you I was talking to, but Kofani reminds me of Lewandowski. So he is good, but he hasn't got a fire in him. He looks languid, he looks uninterested, but he is very lethal and dangerous. So he can be absent and quiet, and then all of a sudden you are finding yourself in big danger. And somehow I had the feeling that he was not going to score that goal, that opportunity. I just had the feeling that he was going to snatch at it, and that was what happened. And that was because of the way the ball was going and the way, because I thought he would control it and go in front of the defender and
Hmm.
cut across the defender, but he let the ball roll so that he
Across
could
his
just
body.
get across his body and he could just hit it. And when you do it like that, there is only one place you can hit it to: second post, volley. But his body shape and the speed of the ball and the speed at which he was running did not permit it, made it very difficult. But in terms of his skill set, the kid is complete. The kid is. I only hope that some fire burns in him. When you see him talk, he's such a good guy. He looks a good guy, a calm guy, the kind of guy that will meet you and greet you and go hello to a defender. You be very friendly with you, calm with you. But in terms of skill set, he can hold the ball. Like you say, his movement, headers, shooting, dribbling. He's got the complete full package. He is a center forward. He's not the kind of player that you can say, go and play on the left. No, no, no. Either you play him as a center forward or you don't play him. He can't play anywhere else. He can hold the ball, he can bring in play. Where I think he will struggle, and I think he is struggling a bit with this system, is the fact that sometimes he finds himself as a lone striker, and that
Hold up
makes it a
play.
bit. Yes, it makes it not even the hold up play, just the fact that he needs to be in a situation, and that's how Leverkusen play, where there are combination plays. He will be even lethal in a situation like that where we're playing three up front and people are moving around him and they can pass and lay off. If you see the goal against Mozambique, one of the reasons he scored that goal was because people were running past and the defenders were not really certain what to do, whether to go with the runner or to stay. And that gave him the chance to come back onto his right foot and move the ball and create that space to shoot because there were players around him. But when you leave him alone one on one, then it can make it a little bit difficult for him, because there were other opportunities with him and Wemo where they could have capitalized and created a real scoring chance. You remember there was one where a defender tackled him where he could have laid off Wemo.
Yes.
You know, he was in a good position, and every striker would want to take on that opportunity to score a second goal. But the ideal scenario there would have been to simulate a shot, to fake a shot, and then lay off Mbeumo, and we could have gone 3 up straight away. So we had good opportunities off his play, off his movement, and off his hold-up play. And I think he will continue to progress, and he will be a big player for Cameroon. But I thought that Pagu should have replaced him sooner, and not with the guy who came on. What's his Soko?
So.
I thought this was a Carl Ita game, physicality.
Mhm.
Towards the end, I thought Carl Ita would have fitted this game, but again, hey, we're not the coaches. That was the decision. That was the plan, and it was well executed in the end.
Okay, run us a little bit about the importance of pressing, because if you take a keen look, we have scored 2 goals from the press. The one against Mozambique, that wonder
Mm-hmm.
goal where he actually
Mm-hmm.
recuperated the ball up high, and then
Mm-hmm.
the one today where Williams tries to clear the ball, and then Baleba heads it
Mm-hmm.
back, and then the ball ends up with Nagida, who crosses it, and
Mm-hmm.
Kofane is there to finish.
Yeah,
Importance of the press.
I think people forget that pressing is something that is planned. Something it's a synchronized movement. It's something that has been practiced in training. And half time, you could see that happen at half time, because whilst the game is going on, we're watching the game. The video analyst is there looking at things, and they would have looked at corner kicks and different situations and say, "Hey, look at this. This is what is happening. If it happens again, press them in this area or in this area. Just watch what's happening and put the press in." And they did that. I am just supposing that those are discussions that I would expect a manager and his analysis team to have had with their players, or to have will have with their players at halftime, because usually teams that score immediately after halftime have executed an instruction that has come from observation from the first half. And I think that is exactly what has happened. That all what you saw there was something that they had spoken about, and they put it in real action. And after that, it gave them a real opportunity to continue to sit back. Like we said, they will sit back just 5 meters outside their 18-meter box and control the game from there. But as time went on, that 5 meter in front of the 80-meter box slowly became 80-meter box, and then 5.5-meter box. South Africa almost equalized. You
Yes,
know.
actually, it was a shaky game towards the end. But
Mm-hmm.
tell me a little bit about emotionally, psychologically, a team like South Africa. In the first half, you are creating all these opportunities. You're moving well, okay? Then it turns into a game of 2 halves, because Cameroon actually recuperated. Coming out from the halftime, as you say, we must have studied what South Africa is actually doing. And then we come and you see Cameroon, even their movement gets better. We are passing short balls. We are making runs and all that. Buemo is in the game. Namaso is in the game. And then you see that goal actually happen. Notwithstanding, South Africa is shell shocked. How does a team like South Africa, because keep in mind, they're also young, right? South Africa
Yeah.
is a young team.
Yeah.
They have only 9 players that were present in the last AFCON. But Hugo Bros, what must Hugo Bros be telling his players after this game about the indomitable Lions of Cameroon? Because he came out hard. He said they will not give Cameroon any gifts. But from the way the game actually turned, it's back in the second half. South Africa was nowhere close. Of course, it's true that they scored 1 goal, but how do you explain this?
Well, they didn't have to give us any gift. You have to play to your strength and give yourself those gifts by using your strength and taking advantage of your opponent's weaknesses. Every team has their strengths and weaknesses, and if you know them, you know how to go about overcoming those strengths and then capitalizing on the weaknesses. So I think we complained about the first half, Cameroon not doing good on their passing, their passes being off. That was a different story in the second half. In fact, there was a series of play. I mean, the triangular passing. I mean, I was listening to Sunday Olise, and he was like, "Wow, I can't believe this team has just been together for 2 weeks. They are playing like they've actually been together for a year plus." Because the passing became crispier, the passing became better. There was better movement between the lines of the players, and it was like just a completely different team. You know, you even complained about Malone in the first half. Second half, faultless.
Yep.
This is just football. You know, Players also put themselves under pressure. They panic. It's a first time situation for most of them. Caught up first time. Even Nuhu Tulu first time. So most of these guys have not played at this in terms of qualified for the quarterfinals. So knowing that you're almost there, you can start panicking, not believing. You could see at the end when the final whistle went, some of them just fell on the floor. It's like, wow, we've done it. There is a 2017 vibe in this team. I can't wait for the Morocco game. Morocco must be shitting themselves now because they know this is it. I can
Yeah.
put. I am more confident about Cameroon beating Morocco than Cameroon beating South Africa.
Well, if that your level of confidence is that high, then there must be something that I'm not actually saying. But I have to sit it out. I have to wait till the game actually comes closer for me to know what will actually happen. But let's talk a little bit about. There's one player I want to talk about, and yeah, we talked about Che Malone. We talked about Epasi. Epasi.
Mm, mm.
Towards the end of the game, he was a little bit shaky. There were some rash decisions that he was making and all that. I mean, the nerves.
Yeah,
Do you think it's about nerves and all that?
I think he was angry. He was angry about communication. Um, Obviously, there was the one where immediately after the first goal, there was the one where he came out right close to the 18-meter box and did not get there in time, and the South African defender attacker got there first, and it was just like the ball was just going into an empty net, But no, yes, it was nervy, not only for him. I think that nervousness was translated across the defense line. So it was not only Epasi, but Epasi was annoyed at the communication that he did not feel that. What was worrying for me was when he had the ball to clear it, and there was Lyle Foster was walking behind him. Normally, I expect the goalkeeper to hold the ball and wait for the attacker to come ahead of them
Yes,
before they
exactly.
play. And then he went to clear the ball, and then for some reason, I don't know if he slipped or whatever, he had to drop the ball before he cleared it. And at that point, once the ball goes down,
It's
if
fair play.
if if Foster was alert to it, goodness gracious me, anything could have happened. So there were some moments there with him. We need to avoid some of those against a team like Morocco.
Exactly, exactly. So let's talk a little bit about the coaching, right? Because there's
Mm,
this instance with Baleba. We could see that Baleba at some point was already struggling. And
mhm,
knowing his history, physicality,
mhm,
he goes down in that action.
mhm.
The ref normally, hey, he has to give advantage to South Africa. He cannot just bring in Cameroon, cannot just bring in his replacement. And that's when South Africa actually scores. I mean, in my opinion, right, I was thinking, even though, like, I mean, what goes through the coach's mind, because I'm sure Baleba is that type of a player, he doesn't want to get out. He wants to finish the game. He wants to be on the pitch.
Mm.
However, can the coach not see that his player is struggling and replace him in such vital moments before we actually play 10 against 11 and then South Africa comes into the game?
Do you know there was a time, I think when he first went down, at that point, I was already telling myself, at the 75th minute, I was already telling myself, you should replace by now, you should replace at least three players: Baleba, Kofan, and whoever. But you should replace refreshing up already, you know, because Baleba, I think Baleba, no, they wiped out his yellow card, but he was already struggling with the muscular issues and should have been substituted. And I was so annoyed at the way it was happening. I just thought, this is not good. This is not good. This is not good. and then the goal. And I thought that is exactly what that kind of situation does. It takes away the focus and the concentration of the players and the team, and it can cost you. And it nearly cost Cameroon. Yes. So I think the manager should have dealt with that in a swifter way and in a more structured manner. You know, I don't know why Baleba was standing up to walk. You're lying on the floor. Just stay there. Just stay there and wait for the medical guys to get you off the pitch. You know, so that wasn't good, and it almost cost Cameroon. So hopefully in future they would manage that better. But it's a learning experience for all of them.
Okay. Well, yeah. So I mean, what else? What else can we talk as far as Cameroon going forward in this tournament? We know we're gonna play Morocco. Morocco played against. We actually talked about Morocco earlier. They had that
Mhm.
difficult win, you know, against Tanzania. Looking at Morocco and looking at this Cameroonian team, what type of game would you expect from from these two teams?
It will be a similar game to today and to the game against Ivory Coast, but more towards the game of Ivory Coast. But obviously, it's Morocco, and you've got to think about when you think about Morocco, you've got to think about Iberian teams. So they play like Spain, you know, tiki taka, short passes, quick movements, and things like that. Um, I think it's going to be an interesting game. But like I said, True Lion, I'm very confident that Cameroon would knock Morocco out as opposed to South Africa. I was more worried about South Africa than, and don't forget, Unai is on crutches.
Yes.
So Unai, that's it. His tournament is ended. Um, I don't think that whilst he is playing, I don't think that Hakimi is 100%. Against Wemo, he might find that it could be very difficult for him. Um, but it's going to be a good game. It's going to be a good game. I think the Moroccan defense will be tested more than they've been tested in this competition because the teams that they have played have not really pushed them. The first team that has pushed Morocco was Comoros, but Comoros is not Cameroon. Tanzania pushed them today a little bit more. Mali was just there in front of them. You know, Mali was just there. Mali wasn't really playing to score. The one time that Mali needed to score, they did go ahead and score. You know, so I think it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting, but I'm looking forward to that game. I think it's going to be a real tactical battle, but I'm very confident again, True Lion. I am very confident again that Cameroon will overcome Morocco. And I think the Moroccans are worried about this.
Oh yes, of course they have to be worried about this because you remember 1988 semi-finals where Cameroon actually beat Morocco by a score of 1 goal to 0. And yes, some people will say 1988, but it's all psychological. It's all about the
Yes,
culture. It's all that's it. All these things actually do matter,
they do.
because
They do.
that's how.
They do matter up here. Like today, I kept hearing the media and people saying Cameroon has never been in South Africa. I was like, and so what? And so what? This is a different Cameroon team. You're talking about 1996 and all that. And it's the same for Cameroon, Morocco. Everything I'm saying about Cameroon, Morocco now is based on what I am seeing. And if you ask any Nigerian, if you ask any Cameroonian, if you ask most African teams, sub-Saharan teams or sub-Saharan fans and pundits and analysts, they will tell you they will not pick Morocco as the team from the Maghreb to win this competition. They are one of the favorites, but if you look at the teams that know this competition, that are playing in this competition, Egypt is a competition team. They're not scoring too many goals. They're doing the thing that is necessary. 1-0 here, 0-0 there, 1-0 here. They're just doing what is enough for them to go through. Do you understand what I mean?
Yes, of course.
Whereas Morocco, for Morocco, it's a show.
Yeah,
It's a
let's talk.
it's a
Let me read,
festival.
yeah, let me read actually some of the comments, right? Because a lot of people are commenting. Elango Obenefonde, yeah, salute, my petit. He says Nagida is a very good player and the future is bright for him. Yeah, we have spoken about Nagida, and yep,
Definitely, he is a good player. He needs
yeah,
some more. He needs some more coaching in terms of his professionalism, those little things that he likes to do. He thinks he is Iron Robin or something. I don't know, but he needs to eliminate that from his game and just do the necessary things. Because, like I said, we're not at the World Cup level. Absolutely fine, but if you remember, we were not eliminated from the last AFCON because we were bad. We were eliminated because of little errors of unprofessionalism. Cameroon was better than Nigeria in terms of possession, and then all of a sudden, mistake, and Osimhen is in. Go. Did you understand what I'm saying? We should not, we should not be lenient in how we play. We should be professional and do the right things at the right time.
At the end of the day, I'm really happy for a guy like Pagu, right? Because he's having real now some good press. Beginning of the tournament, no one actually gave this guy a chance, including me. I was like, okay, let me see what this guy has got. Okay, but these players, as you say, the hunger, because they're not getting, some of them are not getting enough play time in their clubs. Now, with that said, before I continue reading the reading the comments, what do you think can really be a true pathway? Because we have seen this before. Okay, a crop of players coming good all together at the same at a certain time. But how can we make this do this on a consistent basis, like how we see Senegal is doing, Morocco is doing at many different levels? How can Cameroon actually do this on a consistent basis? Because there's
But
so much
this
talent, but a lot of those talents are falling through the cracks.
this is the difference when you have a president of a federation who has played football or played the game and understands the importance of pathways. And when he is trying to see that players can move on to bring the next crop in for people, it's a problem. You know, people need to understand that you have to recycle your football team every 3 to 5 years. Every 3 to 5 years, you must freshen up. You must freshen up. Only the very good ones will stay on, you know, which is why they started making those decisions at the last AFCON, and they were all reversed by a new manager and brought back some of the old players. You know, you cannot tell me that you'd have players like Ngamalo running up and down like these young boys again. They would struggle for 90 minutes, you know. So the importance of the pathway has to do with the program of the federation, what the federation is putting in place. And this is what Samuel Eto'o wants to do. This is what he wants to happen. He will leave it to the manager, as he said, but there are certain decisions that the federation will have to make. And some of those decisions are, we're not calling this player, and this player anymore to the national team. That's it. That is not down to the manager. That is down to the federation to say, no, this is our program. This is how we're going to work going forward. You can call any player of this age group back, whatever club they're playing at, but do not call anybody above 30. That could be a decision that the federation could make. We have seen federations decided, the French Football Federation decided to leave out Benzema for a long time for certain reasons, which were not footballing reasons. The other person was Mathieu Valbuena. You know, they left Mathieu Valbuena out for a long time, and he never came back. You know, sometimes federations have to make these decisions, but within the context of what you're saying, True Lion, in terms of a pathway, there is a pathway now. Pagu, when he was appointed, and you told me about the player Camden that he called from Brazil, and you were complaining about it, I said to you, True Lion, if Pagu has decided to call that player, there is only one reason, without me knowing, that I can give you why a manager would do that. It's because they know the player. And the thing a manager would do would ask them, are you still playing? Are you still training? What are your capacities? Okay, come in, let me assess you. Because they know that player. Most of the players that are playing for this national team now, apart from the guys from Europe, are known to Pagu. He has seen them grow from playing in the league, playing cadet competitions. He knows how good these guys are, even though they've gone to France and to other countries. He is still keeping tabs as to how well they're doing, or what areas they need to develop in their game. So it is brilliant to see. And you know, True Lion, I have always believed that we need to have a Cameroonian national as a manager. We just need to find someone else to take over once Pagu is ready to go, or if he's going to be replaced. We don't need foreign managers anymore. We can have people come in specialists and help us with the science to develop our players, this coaching science and things like that, because there is the use of data. I've been telling you how well you present data on Facebook. The importance of science and data in football management. They can tell you exactly when a player needs to stop playing, otherwise they're going to have muscle problems. They can tell you that stop, this player cannot train for 45 minutes today. They can only train for 20 minutes. And that's one of the reasons that clubs are reluctant on sending their players to go and play or go early to AFCON, because they do not believe that we have the science to look after the players well. And sometimes these players come back injured or not fit enough to play, not because they have been to the competition with the national team, but because the application of science and data is not there. So we can still use those resources from the West, but we need to have our people back home manage our teams, like Paco is doing now.
Yeah, and I know we actually grew up together, and our parents are in education. Don't you think that, especially in our areas, the Anglophone areas and things like that, don't you think we need to start incorporating sports, like even these like football, into our schooling system? Because we already have a framework, right, that works. Like, you see, religion was incorporated. Now they do religion on many different levels, ordinary levels, advanced levels. Don't you think that we need to incorporate sports, like sports management, into our schools, so that kids can actually grow up knowing how? Because today we're talking about data, the use of data in order to track down performance and stuff like that. Don't you think that will do us an advantage in growing our footballing system, or in modernizing our football, if we do incorporate these things into our schools?
Well, I don't think we necessarily need to do that, because we haven't incorporated other disciplines within our school system. Unless you're going to technical colleges or comprehensive colleges. But we have the relevant institutes that do that. We have Senages, and we have the International Institute of Sports, INJS in Yaoundé, or IIJS in Yaoundé, which is where Pago has graduated from. And these guys are drilled by qualified doctors and professors in sports science. So we have these people in Cameroon. Why are we not using
Yeah,
them?
but that's only limited to certain areas. I'm talking about bringing bringing awareness, because there's a stigma when it comes to football, when it comes to sports. Okay, and we need to break that stigma. That's what I'm talking about. So taking it into the schools will actually help break that stigma when it comes to sports, because hey, a lot of people are making fortunes out of sports. It doesn't have to be, not everyone has to.
When you talk about sports management, this is what I'm saying. The way the
Mm-hmm.
Cameroonian education system works, True Lion, is that certain courses cannot be taught in certain schools unless you have the license. So you have comprehensive schools and you have grammar schools. Comprehensive schools are different. They can allow you to do technical courses and things like that, which is why you have Natural Comprehensive College, Longla Comprehensive College. Those are different from Presbyterian Secondary School, CPC Bali, SASE. Those schools are not comprehensive schools, so they cannot teach those things. So you have to change the educational system for you to be able to do that, which is why, for example, at advanced level, True Lion, you will study English, literature, and French if you're hoping to go and study law at university or economics. But you will not study advanced level law, which is what children do in colleges and schools in Europe and I don't know about the US, but in Europe, for England, where I am, and also you can do that. They can do that if they wanted to in Natural Comprehensive College and in Longla Comprehensive College, because those are comprehensive schools. They are allowed to do that. So you cannot just implement that within our educational system. That is something that the Ministry of National Education, or whatever it is called now, they need to take care of. So it is very important. I understand what you're saying. It's good, but at the current level now, you can only do those things in specialized sports institutes. You cannot do them in colleges.
Yeah. When you start calling those names, I start my stomach. I start having a stomach ache. But let's talk about some of the comments. Terence Agbo, actually, Terence Agbo actually agrees with you. Is about Kofane that is young and he has room to grow. Ashu Bisong says
Exactly.
Cameroon is going to eliminate Morocco. We are experts at dumbing out host nations. The record dates 1984. Irene Muteku actually told me that she played she played football in college, and she says, "What do you think about Nagida?" I think we talked about Nagida already. So Terence Agbo says, "I think conceding the goal in the 9 minutes made all of them nervous. It's a young team, of course. Yeah, we
Yes,
trashed
it
that
would
out
make
already."
it would make any team nervous. Trust me. You can ask Barcelona that in the Champions League last year when Inter Milan, did them the last minute equalizer. So it's never
Exactly.
easy. It's never
I
easy.
mean, and it's psychological. I keep telling people this. It's psychological, and you can actually use some of this psyche, and in order to call games in order to see what will actually happen. And it's just human nature. Ashubisong also says Terence Agbo definitely they say goals do change games. Of course, he's talking about goals do change games. And remember, you used to tell me that 2-0 is one of the most fragile lead in a football game, because
Yeah,
in your mindset you're like, okay, I'm 2 goals up, but
yeah.
your opponent scores 1 goal, and then
And you
you
realize panic sets in. Whereas when it's 1-0, you always on the alert, you sharp in balls, sharp in every action, sharp in movement, you're making sure there's no equalizer. But when you're leading 2-0, trust me, it's the most dangerous lead in football. Yes, one is easier to equalize, but it also a prudent score that makes the team stay alert. 2-0 sends you to sleep, and then suddenly it's 2-1 and you go, oh, and the other team go, yes, I'm coming at you. And that's exactly what happened, you know.
yeah. So let me ask you this question, right? Because I've realized that I was just thinking in a split second. I said, okay, Cameroon went out aggressive against Mozambique. And although we did score, right? Although no, they scored us first. Although we did come up and win that game, but there's something about football. When you start games and you don't score, like how South Africa did, they did not score, and they considered that cheap goal against Cameroon. How does that affect your game plan? How does that affect? Because you look at a young South African team, they played, created opportunities. Cameroon hammered them, and just after halftime, Cameroon scored a second. And then they were just like, it's like you just pop. Cameroon just
Mm-hmm.
popped out the energy, out of
Mm-hmm.
them. So how did that actually affect them psychologically?
Well,
Psychologically,
at 1-0, usually you tell your players to calm down and you tell them to just keep doing what they're doing, especially if the goal comes like it did, which is no mistake, no tactical mistake. It's just what it is. There is a ricochet and it falls to a player and he takes his time and puts it behind and puts it in, you know. So, but when it goes up to 2-0, that is when you can actually say, okay, or lose now. Let's just go for it, because you've got nothing to lose. You're already 2-0 down and they're actually threatening to score a third one, you know. So no, at 2-0, usually teams lose it, and it's difficult for a manager to control the players once it's at that level, because the players want to score, they want to come back. You could see the frustration in Lyle Foster. Lyle Foster should have actually been sent
be
off.
sent out. Yeah,
You know, the referee today was one of the not so good referees so
I
far
think
in
so
this
too.
competition,
Yep.
because Cameroon had two opportunities where I think one was Baleba, and then the other one could have been Baleba again, where they actually took the ball off the South Africans, but this guy was just blowing fouls for any single contact, just a
Yep.
little contact foul, little contact foul. I thought, you know. So, but to come back to your question, yes, when you have a game plan and then you concede, you try and be patient. But when you concede the second goal, sorry, usually you lose it, you lose control, and it's all hell loose. And yeah, things can go out of kilt. But South Africa did try to keep their composure and belief, but that was only towards the end after they got the first goal.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit. Let's say 5, 7 minutes and talk about the whole tournament. And there are some key things that have come up, especially hosting African Cup of Nations every 4 years. In my opinion, I've listened to many arguments. There are some good arguments, and there's some not so good arguments against. One of the good arguments that the CAF, Motsepe actually made is about sponsorship. That there will be more money for this for going in for this tournament again. Then he's also trying to introduce a nations cup, as we see in Europe, that will happen yearly. Maybe countries like South Africa that have a good league, countries like Morocco, Tanzania, countries that have a good league, they might benefit from this. I mean, what do you make of this conversation about AFCON every 4 years?
True Lion. Mr. Motsepe might not like it, but he is a puppet. Mr. Motsepe is being controlled by FIFA. Look, Arsene Wenger working with FIFA tried to make the World Cup hold every 2 years. Why were they trying to do that? Why were they trying to do that? AFCON has been in an enviable position in vis-a-vis the other associations because they were having their competition every 2 years. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, while some teams are complaining in Europe, some other countries have a 2-week break between December and January. Okay, not every country is still playing. The German league is still on break. The Belgian league is still on break. Most of the leagues in which African players play are still on break, except the French league has just resumed today or yesterday. So if you look at it technically, they would miss 2 weeks of French league football. 2 weeks only. So I'm not certain why he's made that decision. I am hoping that before that time he's left CAF and CAF can review that decision. I know Samuel Eto'o has said, Gianni Infantino is doing a lot for African football and stuff like that. But I know that deep down in Samuel Eto'o's mind, he is thinking, we got to fight this. I haven't heard any officials speak positively. And when I say official, I mean federation officials. I am still wondering how this decision was made. Was it within the CAF executive? I don't understand, because this came out of the blue.
I think they're still testing the waters, because I've not really heard anything strong, but they are still testing the waters. That's why they said it's gonna start in 2028.
I don't know,
So
but it's not good. One of the other things that they have spoken about moving the AFCON was the weather. Are you seeing Morocco?
the
Morocco,
rain,
I never knew Morocco had rain like
yeah,
Southwest province.
but again, that's
Every night it is raining.
yeah,
Wow, I
yeah.
never knew that
But
could
but
happen in Morocco.
but let's commend them, because the pitches are so good. The drainage system is so good, and you see the bounce of the ball. It's even better than the pitches we see in Europe. There cannot be so much rain in some pitches in Europe like that, and then the football quality is that good.
Exactly, because football pitches are meant to be constructed almost like roads, so they're not very flat.
Yes.
They should fall off a little bit to allow water to run off. And by the side of football pitches, you got the drainage system, which people don't see usually because it's just a small space where you got the water run into. So that is superbly done, as opposed to the pitches that we saw in Cameroon, where when it rained, it was really difficult to play. And in many pitches across the world, I see that every day when I'm watching Latin American leagues in Colombia, in Brazil, where it rains heavily. When it rains, it can be difficult to play. So kudos to Morocco. The science behind the construction and the layout of the pitches is absolutely brilliant. And which is
Yep.
why they can play even when it rains.
There was something. Did you hear what Hannibal? He was like a former player of Manchester United, right? Was it Manchester United he played for? Hannibal.
Hannibal
Yes.
Mejbri, yeah, yeah.
Yep. I mean, did you hear what he said about he was not happy about Tunisia being eliminated? and he spoke openly about them being backwards as far as football is concerned and many other things. I mean, do you like that type of outing coming from a player, and do you think that players should be much more vocal in African football? We don't
Well,
see that a lot, but
he is a young boy. He is a young boy, so he is a young man, and he will make his mistakes. And I'm sure somebody from the federation would call him in for a discussion at some point. But it's the frustration from losing, isn't it? Um, Players can always say those things. I don't know when exactly he said it, if he'd had a shower, time to rest, or if it was just after the game when he's still angry, about losing out to Mali. Um, but yeah, players do make those mistakes and say those things. And when he says that we are still backward, who is he talking about being backward, and backward in what? We always need to develop certain areas of our game, our infrastructure, and our organization. But what is he talking about? Backward in what?
yeah, but
So
from what he was saying, he's talking
sorry, I
about.
can't hear you.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I've lost your sound. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can
Okay,
hear
I
you.
can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, from what he was saying, he was talking about Tunisia, and he was talking about maybe certain things in their football that actually did not sit right with them, because he went to explain, and he said that was not only football. He was talking about, different cultural aspects, of what they are going through,
Well,
So,
well,
yeah.
I'm sure they've got a few months to adjust before. Lucky for them that they've qualified for the World Cup. But as we have seen in this competition, again, like with the Club World Cup, and I said to somebody that people keep saying because of Eswatini that Cameroon had a weak group, but when you had Angola, Cape Verde and Cameroon in one group, anything can happen. Anything can happen. Those are not easy teams. You know, put Tunisia in that group and they're not going to the World Cup.
But
So
I've
I'm
I've
I'm
made
I'm certain about that.
since you brought the World Cup in, right? I've always made this argument: if everybody is not working together, and looking into one direction, it's very difficult to succeed in football. Today, the minister has been left behind. Eto finally put his foot on the ground, and everyone is actually gradually looking into one direction. You know, I mean,
Mhm.
that's how football is actually run. A lot of people don't see the scouting. A lot of people don't see back office work. But I mean, what do you make of this? Because football is all about, there's a team. Of course, the actors are the most important. We see 26
Mhm.
players, in the team. We see the coach, we see the doctors and all that. But there's a lot of work done at the back. And if everyone is not looking into one direction, so there becomes a lot of distraction. I mean, what do you make of that? This Cameroon team, how much do you of their success will you credit it to the work that Faker Food is actually doing in the back and Samuel Eto'o?
Well, all of it, isn't it? I hope the minister now understands that this is how organizations work. You have to understand your roles and your responsibilities, and you're not trying on usurping other departments' roles because you're the minister, you're the head of whatever. You know, um, I hope he's learned a lot from this. And people have criticized Samuel Eto'o about his management, about this and that. People forget to know that you learn every day in your role, regardless of how qualified you are. You always need to keep developing yourself and developing with along with everyone around you. And I think this is evidence of the fact that, you know, maybe the minister has halted whatever development was taking place, and where we could have been today. Maybe we could have been better. If the minister had not intervened, maybe we could have qualified for the World Cup. And everyone would have been looking at this team and going, ooh, ooh, who is going to play against Cameroon at the World Cup? They need to watch out. People keep talking about Senegal being the best team. Yes, Senegal on paper are the best team. I would like to see Senegal against this team. I would.
No,
I
but
would
you
like
you
to see
you
Senegal against this team.
you already playing Morocco. Let Senegal take care of Mali. I don't
I
even
know.
think Senegal. I don't
I
think
know.
Senegal will have it easy against Mali.
I would like to. Well, that's actually true. It's going to be very physical. But I think that Mr. Difference will make the difference. Remember, I've always told you when we spoke about African teams and that, and I told you easily, Pap Gay gets into my any African collect
Oh
selection that
no, he's
I
good.
make.
He's
Pap
good.
Gay is my central midfielder. I know everybody's about Baliba and this and that, and I
He's
told you
good.
that one of the strengths of Pap Gay, and I told you this. Have you ever seen Pap Gay when he arms to take a shot? That's a
The technique,
midfielder.
the
His
technique is
technique and
yeah.
everything, and that is him placing the ball. He has a proper hammer in his left foot. I mean, that's
The,
a proper midfielder. You can go back into Zambo Anguissa's career. You will not see 3 goals. If you go into Pap Gay's collection, you will see them from 25 yards. I mean, if you look through, Baliba has got like 2 of them in the Premier League, so he's got that in his armory. He can use it,
yeah.
and every midfielder should have that.
I think Zambo is more of a brute force running forward and all that, his power and
No,
all that.
he is a technical midfielder.
Yeah.
Don't get me right. Goodness gracious me, what brute force? No, Zambo is not like that. You should have watched Zambo when he played for Villarreal. He is a very technical player, because if it was brute force, he would have succeeded at Fulham. But instead, because he was a more thinking player, he did not fit into the Premier League style of football. Zambo is a very technical footballer, and sometimes it works against him. But either way,
To close
it's been
on,
a
yeah, to close on, I know, I just need predictions. So far, I'm 4 for 4. So I hope you guys are actually keeping count. Egypt Benin. I think Egypt. I think Egypt will win that goal. That game.
Egypt.
One
Egypt
one
are
zero.
favorites. Egypt are
1-0.
favorites. And like you said, it could be a 1-0 game. That's the way Egypt seems to be doing stuff these days. So,
Nigeria Mozambique.
oof, that would be that would be 3 or 4-1.
Oh,
Yeah,
you think 4-1? You think the way
yeah.
Mozambique plays, Nigeria will score that many goals?
Nigeria will score 3 or 4. Trust me.
Okay. I would say that game will finish Mozambique. Mozambique. I'm thinking Mozambique. 2-1 for Nigeria.
Okay, it could be. It could be.
Yeah, two
But
one for
but
Nigeria.
but I
I'm
think
loving.
Nigeria would win here.
Yeah, I'm loving these 2-1 scores. This
Mhm.
is the game. This is the
It,
game.
but it's gonna hurt
Algeria.
somebody.
Huh?
2-1's gonna hurt somebody.
Yeah, yeah. Algeria, DR Congo. Who do you pick in this game? Algeria, DR Congo.
That's tight. That is tight. It's anyone's game, but I can predict prolongations.
DR Congo. But who wins after prolongations?
Anyone, man. I cannot say. Discipline is going to be key. Discipline is going to be key. Discipline is going to be key, because red cards can affect the game.
Algeria has Mares scoring them goals. I don't think Mares will score any goals in this one. So I'm looking. I want to say DR Congo will win. Algeria has some young,
They
unexperienced players. Huh?
they could win, but I see more of a draw.
Okay, but after the draw, I mean, it's who wins.
It's anybody's game. It's anybody's game. I cannot say. Sorry, I cannot say.
Okay,
But if I have to pick one,
I'll
I would say DRC.
yeah, I'll say DRC will win because I don't think Algeria, with its youthfulness and it's also a team that is not used to physical play. So I want to say DR Congo win by the score of let's say
I
one
think
zero, one
I
zero.
think I think Algeria considered a lot of chances in their last group game, and
0.
Zidane had to make some key saves. And I think they give those chances to Bakambu. Fali Ipupa will be singing,
But
no
what's
doubt.
happening? What's happening with your man? He hasn't scored yet. I've rooted for him. Fiston,
Fiston.
Fiston Mayele. What's happening with Fiston Mayele, man? I
Well,
I want him to score.
Fiston will come good, but it depends how far they go into the competition, isn't it?
Okay, okay.
He will have his day, or not. But he is a young guy. He's never really been had a run in the national team as such
Is he
because
a
of the
younger? How old
price.
is he?
He's 20. I think he's 28 or 29.
Oh, okay, okay.
No, I mean in
Then
terms of international football.
okay. Then last game, Ivory Coast, Burkina Faso.
Mm. Advantage Ivory Coast, but tricky, very tricky. Do you know? Was
That's
it
what
you?
so that
Was it you or someone? I said I didn't want Cameroon anywhere near Burkina Faso.
you know
I
what?
didn't want. I didn't want
You know
Cameroon
what?
anywhere near
You know what?
Burkina Faso.
I will
Yeah.
go. I will go against popular opinion.
Hmm.
Burkina Faso beats Ivory Coast.
Burkina Faso are lethal up front.
Burkina
Um,
Faso beats Ivory Coast.
Traore is a very tricky customer.
I will say Burkina Faso beats Ivory Coast because
It's not going to be easy. It's not going to
who,
be easy.
who
I would
coaches
say
who coaches who coaches Burkina Faso?
I can't even remember the name now, but they got a look. I can't even remember the name now.
Let me just have a look.
I
Okay.
can't even remember the name.
Any
But I
any
think Ivory Coast will win. Ivory Coast will win, but it will be difficult.
Okay, let me just take this moment before we have last words. Everybody watching this show, please just share our content, and also make sure you go follow Jabulani Football on Facebook. It's run most of the time by our great analyst. He actually has a lot of knowledge. You guys have not even tapped into even one third of the knowledge that this guy has when it comes to analyzing football. And then you can follow me also on YouTube. That's 19.5 by True Lion. 19.5 by True Lion. And of course, I have my personal page on Facebook that I actually analyze football. So you guys, please go ahead and follow these pages because we need you guys when we actually share our content. And as you guys know, the World Cup is coming also in 6 months, and we still have 2 weeks of African Cup of Nations going on. So you guys make sure that you go ahead and follow us. Any last words? I know it's getting late over there. You need to go to bed. And what
Yeah.
are the last words?
Friday. Can't wait for Friday.
What
Can't wait
happens
for
Friday? Is
Friday.
that when we play Morocco?
Yeah. You don't know when we play Morocco.
I
Friday.
have I have a Moroccan neighbor. I'll go over and say hi to him
Yeah.
together with his kids
Yeah.
and
I
just
t- I
make
tell
sure that
I tell my Cameroonian brothers who are over in Morocco, all the friends you've made, just be very careful. Be safe, because if it doesn't work out their way, things might get nasty. In some
I
in
don't.
some in some dark corners, you never know. Just be safe.
Yeah, but I don't really.
Just stay together. Stay together as a group.
Yeah, so far, so far,
We are friendly people, but there are always some nasty people amongst
yeah,
us.
yeah, so far the competition
We
has been.
always there are always some tifosis.
Yeah, so far the vibes around surrounding the competition has been good,
Oh yeah,
and I
brilliant,
wish
brilliant,
it continues to be
brilliant.
good. As you can see there, I have ZH. My
Mm,
son also has a Hakimi. My daughter, I mean, all of us, they are Moroccan fans in my
mm.
family and stuff like that. But hey, we always the heart always beats for the Lions.
I don't
And
mind.
so
I
far,
don't mind. Even if Morocco wins, I don't mind. I've got
oh
an
no, no,
open.
exactly, exactly. I
I've
mean,
got. When it comes to African football, I've got an open spirit. I don't mind. I don't mind whichever team. Let the better team win, but obviously, yeah, you prefer Cameroon to win. Yeah, but hey,
exactly. And just the last word from me. I know some people have been asking for us, to analyze games more, but I usually tell them that the time difference actually makes. But anytime we have opportunities like this, we will come up and analyze the games for you guys. It's always a pleasure, and we're all happy that Cameroon actually won. But you guys stay safe. Happy New Year. Stay blessed, my brother Awa. It's always a pleasure.
stay safe, bro. Thank you. Good night.
You're welcome, bro. Yep.